to make sure that you get to win the giveaway today. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm sorry, but it's only for people watching live on Instagram. If you are watching it on YouTube, you can go over and follow live Instagram at MikeDolbear.com, and that's where these Instagrams are going from. So, tonight, let me know if you've got any questions, if you want to chat about anything, if you want to talk, whatever, let me know. Any questions, chuck them in the question mark box. There's lots of people here that I can see that I know. It's nice to see you. Pedro Drum is in from Chile, I think that's correct. How's Chile? How's everything going on there? I saw Sticks Harris is in the house. So there's a lot of names here that I know. I'm just flying back through them all. George Farrow's in the house. So a lot of you, I missed who was in at the beginning. Jules Drums. Kieran's in. So yeah, a lot of people that I've known that have been joining me on this crazy journey of doing these. I am not going to be doing any guests tonight, so if you've accidentally clicked request to be my guest, I'm not going to do that, purely because, like I said, if you're watching this afterwards on YouTube, it means absolutely nothing, because obviously they can't see the guest. I've got some drum news, a couple of things we could talk about, and like I said, any questions, any topics, maybe anything you want me to talk about regarding a drum lesson today. I haven't really given it a lot of thought yet, but I will give you a lesson today. So stick around for about 30 minutes and let's see where we go. So first things first, let's get some drum news in the house. So one of the things that I used to do was a lot of the news that used to come in, press releases that used to come in, I would put them up onto MikeDolbear.com, or we would put them up, my webmaster, my editor of the site, Simon Edgoose, would put stuff up on there. But because those press releases now go to so many different outlets, I think I've discussed this before, but I think there's something like 150 to 200 different drum media outlets. The same news just gets gurgitated between them all. I don't do that anymore. I don't put it up on my site. But what I have been trying to do, even before lockdown and before COVID, was I'd try and come up here on a Monday and talk about the current news that's happened during that week. Okay, so we've got a little bit more news today, obviously because I haven't done one of these for the last 4 weeks, but I'm only going to go back in the last week or 2 weeks. So, starting, that was an interesting thing happened then. Instead of some love hearts coming up the side, I don't know what it was, but something looked like something was on fire. I had to look at my phone. So like I said, if you've got any questions, you want me to talk about anything in particular today, then by all means stick them in the question mark box and I will get to them. But I want to start off by welcoming back, although she hasn't been far. Yeah, it's definitely no love hearts anymore. There's something else going up on the side of my phone now. But anyway, and that is Tina Clark. For those that know, Tina used to be artist relations for the UK, Europe, and I want to say Australia, New Zealand, and has been there for as long as I can remember. And she left that role during COVID, and now she is back, which is great news because she's now doing artist relations for the British Drum Company. For those that are not familiar, those that are watching this that aren't from the UK and don't know much about the British Drum Company, do go and check them out. But I've done a lot of coverage of the British Drum Company. Great products. I've got a great snare drum here, a 12-inch snare drum. I'm a big fan of what they're doing. And the growth has been considerable. And so now to bring on someone like Tina Clark as artist relations, I think is a huge benefit to British Drum Company. And I think it's great for Tina. She'll have a smaller pool of artists to look after, so she can spend her time making sure everyone's, the Zildjian ones are obviously a lot of artists. So welcome back, Tina Clark, to the British Drum Company. Next one, anyone seen the new Netflix drumming documentary, Count Me In? Anyone seen it? Now currently on Netflix, new documentary. I want to watch it a couple more times. I've watched it in bits. I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch it. Great documentary. Lots of different drummers on it, talking about various things. Stuart Copeland's on it. Stephen Perkins is on it. Dave Grohl. Taylor Hawkins is on it. Chad Smith's in it. The list goes on and on and on. So it's well worth a check. Go and check it out. It's called Count Me In, and it's on Netflix. So it's currently on Netflix, which I think is going to stay there. Daniel Glass. For those that are not familiar with Daniel Glass, you should be. Daniel is a connoisseur, an expert on most things drumming, to be fair, but really groove, 1950s, Motown, that kind of style of music. Anyway, he's doing Finding Your Golden Groove, 6 free, because I know you like that one, 6 free videos on his YouTube page. So if you don't know of Daniel Glass, it's Daniel, Daniel, Glass, Glass. Give him a follow, but do go to his YouTube page and do check out. The first one went up today. And like I said, he's an absolute excellent expert on that field. So it's well worth a watch, and check them out. And like I said, they're free, so you're going to learn something. So do check those. A couple of weeks ago, Promark launched. They've basically got to relaunch their portfolio, and they're introducing a couple of new brands. So keep watching Promark at the moment if you're a fan of that stick brand, and see what's going on there. My next masterclass. Again, I gave it a miss for August, but my next masterclass is on Tuesday, the 14th of September, 8 p.m. If you're familiar with my masterclass, then I apologise for repeating myself, but if you're not familiar with it, it's something I set up on Zoom. Very, very small numbers, because I want to see everyone on the page. We normally discuss a topic, and that won't change this time, except I haven't announced the topic. And we always have a surprise VIP guest, and I'm not going to tell you who the surprise VIP guest is, but if you go back through my profile, you'll see various guests that have come up, but no one knows who the guest is. They come up and discuss the topic, the chosen topic. Anyway, my next masterclass is on Tuesday the 14th of September, online Zoom masterclass. It starts at 8 p.m. It's only £15. It's a very, very small group. No, it will not be recorded. Several people have asked me if it's been recorded. I am a professional musician. I do need to make a living as well, and I'd like to think that I give away quite a lot of free content. But obviously, like I said, I'm a teacher, so this masterclass I think is a reasonably priced, £15. It's for a couple of hours. There's a few places left. I always open it up to the people that have supported them before. But if you want to check that out, DM me, or email me at mike@mikedolbear.com. And I'll get back to you. And it's on Tuesday the 14th of September. It starts at 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. And finally, I've been sort of putting a few little feelers out about this, but Young Drummer of the Year is going to be back. It's the 20th year. It's a UK drummers event. If you don't know about it, go and check out youngdrummeroftheyear.co.uk or .com. You'll find it. We had to miss last year because of COVID, and so I wanted to do it again this year. So what I've done this year is to slightly made an adjustment to it. It's for 16 years and under. So you had to be 16 on the 1st of February to enter. Okay, now because we missed the year, I've extended that to 17. So you have to be 17 on the 1st of February 22. We're going to open the entries up on the 1st of October this year. It'll be open for 6 weeks. All the information's on youngdrummeroftheyear.com or .co.uk. Unfortunately, yes, you do have to be a UK citizen to enter the event, and yes, you do have to be 17 and under. But it's now in its 20th year, and we're currently just confirming a venue, but everything else is in place. This year is going to be sponsored by Gretsch Drums, Paisley Cymbals and Gaver Bags. and the winner gets to win the drum kit, set of cymbals, and all cased. It's theirs. Take away of it, and the title of winning Young Drum of the Year, and also the 2020's winner, Ebenezer. He's going to be performing at the UK Drum Show next year, and so we're going to open a slot up for the 22 winner as well. So there's actually going to be 2 Young Drum of the Year performances. The 2020's winner, because they didn't get a chance to perform last time, and the 22. So again, UK Drum Show, if you want to check that out. That's April the 2nd and the 3rd in Liverpool. So go over to UK Drum Show to check that out. Okay, that's all my drum news. I think there's a lot of news there. I've got a question in here. Let's go in there and see what this is. Oh, wow, okay. So the question, pros and cons between a 22 versus a 26-inch bass drum. Wow, okay, well that's interesting question, because it really depends on what you're looking for. Straight away, off the bat, obviously it's tone, it's sound, okay? It's 22 and 26. 26 has got a lot more bottom end, it's a lot more bassy, obviously, etc, etc. So there's the obvious. So I think you have to always think about a sound thing. The disadvantage of a 26-inch bass drum is, depending how tall you are or small you are, your kit, everything has to change position, obviously, because you've now got a 26-inch bass drum, which means wherever you're going to put, if you're going to put a tom-tom, I see Simon's in the house as well, who I think Mr. Simon Drum from Squeeze is out in America somewhere at the moment. So thank you for joining, Simon. So yeah, I think Simon might use a big bass drum, thinking about it. Yeah, so a 26-inch bass drum is going to change the way that you set up your kit, obviously. The other thing is a 26-inch bass drum. A bass drum beater doesn't hit the centre of a 26-inch bass drum, obviously, again, because of the size. So it doesn't play it. You have to work harder to play a 26-inch bass drum. There's, you know, when you look back on Bonham and you think, well, some of those bass drum patterns that Bonham was playing, remember he was doing them on a 26 or sometimes a 28-inch bass drum. I mean, there's no give on that, especially when he was playing them. Beaters were not as sophisticated as they are now. So so going back to answer it, obviously tone is, you know, sound. If you want a 26-inch bass drum, you want it because of the sound, because you've got that bottom end, etc, etc. The disadvantages of a 26-inch bass drum is that your kit is going to be higher if you're placing a tom-tom on the top. If you're not having a top tom-tom, it doesn't make any difference, but obviously if you're putting toms on top of your bass drum, now you've shifted the height of your kit. And the bass drum beater does not hit the centre of the bass drum, and so it's harder to work it. You've got to work harder. I'm not going to name the company, but I do know that there's a particular company that had a backline, and they only ever had a 24-inch bass drum in this backline, and a few of the named drummers that would play that company would go to various venues, Ronnie Scott's as an example, get the backline kit in, and they're so used to playing a 22, and then the 24-inch bass drum would turn up, and their whole posture and the whole way that they are playing completely changes. Okay, so even on those little 2 inches, unless you do what Abe LeBoyle does. If you check out Abe's kit, which I think is awesome, I think Abe only uses a 20. I think Abe uses a 24. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But what Abe does is he has the bass drum off centre, and he has it on a remote bass drum pedal. So he's got his bass drum pedal is in the right same position, okay, but because it's a double bass drum pedal, he only uses one side, but he can put the bass drum wherever he wants, which a lot of people have done that on a second remote bass drum, i.e. Stanton Moore's been doing it. So they have different places. Mr. John De Christopher's in the house as well. Another absolute sweetheart of a man out in America, and again, was this worked at Zildjian with Tina Clark back in the day, and John is one of my favourite people, and that's not just because he's in here, but it's because when he comes over to the UK, he normally buys the food. So anyway, any more questions? I hope that answers that question on the bass drum. 26 bass drum over a 22. I've tried 14-inch bass drums, which is a very interesting way of playing, because again, the response off a 14-inch bass drum compared to a 22 is a lot better as well. Mr. De Christopher, I love you too. John, hopefully we'll catch up very soon. I don't know when you're allowed back in. We're not letting... actually, I think we're letting Americans into the UK. I don't think the Americans are letting us into their country. So isn't it funny, we've got to this stage where music is a multicultural, and now we're not allowed to go to people's countries anymore. Very, very strange. But anyway, Aidan. Yes, you're late, Aidan. Aidan's come in and he said, "Hi Mike, any news on Young Drum of the Year?" Yes, I've announced it all on here. So if you go back after we finished, Aidan, have a look through this video again. You will see the news. It's about 5-10 minutes in, and all the news about Young Drum of the Year. But it is coming back this year. So Young Drum of the Year 22, the final is actually in 22. Entries open on the 1st of October. You've had a couple of years now to practice. It's going to be the 20th year, Aidan. So yes, it's coming back. But go back, check out the website, etc., etc. Right. Right. Do you drink coffee before... here we go. Here's an interesting one as well. Same person. Do you drink coffee before a gig or after? Right. Now, that's a good question, because it's also something I want to talk about today. Well, first of all, I haven't done a gig for, I don't know, 18 months, as in a proper gig. You know, I haven't loaded my car up and turned up and done a gig for 18 months during COVID, etc., etc. For various reasons, but mainly because there just hasn't been anything. So that should. So I expect my drinking habits have probably changed. Drinking coffee, this is, since I did it before. So for those that follow me on here, know that I'm also into my fitness, and I'm into my running. Although it hasn't been going that great for the last 8 months, I'm still out there doing it all the time. And I drink a high caffeine drink about 15 minutes before I go for a run. I don't drink coffee, but it's a high caffeine drink. A lot of those sports energy drinks are high caffeine drinks. Sorry, I'm just going to answer this. Sticks Harris, where is the venue for Young Drum of the Year? Last time it went. Yeah, unfortunately, both the venues, Sticks Harris, for Young Drum of the Year have disappeared since COVID. So we're currently looking for a new venue, but it's going to be in the Midlands area. We've got a few that we're just working out at the moment. So coming back to your coffee thing, so it's not necessarily coffee, but like I said, a high caffeine drink or a high sugar drink. If you look at something like a Lucozade or any of those high energy drinks, they're pretty similar to a coffee. Some people like it, some people don't. So to answer that question, I think if I was doing function gigs or corporate gigs, then yes, I'd have a cup of coffee before I played the drums, just because of the timing, and it gave me maybe a little bit of a kick before I started playing, and because I was used to that, because like I said, with my fitness, I've always used a very good drink before I go for a run. I would do that, and then probably have one before I drive home. So yes is the answer to that question. But I want to address that because it's a topic that someone's been asking me about. Ebenezer's in the house now. We've just been talking about you, Ebenezer, as well. Ebenezer is the I get my years wrong now, 2020 Young Drum of the Year winner. An amazing young man. We haven't been able to do anything with him because obviously there's been nothing going on. but he's opening my room at the UK Drum Show in Liverpool, and will hopefully, if he's available, be open, or will be playing at the Young Drum of the Year final. He'll be performing there as well. So quite a few of my students and a lot of people have come back to me over the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks about not knowing when they've gone back to work, when they've gone back and done gigs, how strange it is. I don't know if anyone up here has had the same issue, but because we got so used to going out and playing, we got so used to being able to focus and concentrate for an hour and a half, 2 hours, sometimes 4 or 5 hours. Sometimes people would be driving 2 or 3 hours, then doing a gig, etc., etc. All of that has gone out the house, out the window. And also joined now is Aid, who also works with me, as you all may know, on Young Drum of the Year. So Aid, we've been talking all about Young Drum of the Year, but you missed it. So Aid's in the house. So yeah, so a lot of people have been sort of, they've got through the first couple of gigs, but on energy levels, because they've been excited, but then they've been finding they're getting to about halfway through the gig and they're getting tired, or they're absolutely worn out the next day. And I know this is going to sound strange unless, like I said, people on here have actually done this. They've also forgotten to take stuff, because they're so used to, when you load your car up, you're so used to everything fitting in, and you've done it, you're doing it on muscle memory. And then all of a sudden, there's been no gigs and they haven't done it. They haven't been, they forget things. So I've had to write check sheets. But one of the things I want to address there is, and like I said, I've got a few students that have been talking about this even more so recently, is this, when as a drummer, when you start a set, whether you're, you know, playing Reading Festival or whether you're playing a wedding or whatever it is, when you start a set, it's so important that you set the standard for the rest of the night. If you come out there for the first 2 or 3 songs and you really haven't got your act together and the timing is moving, etc., etc., you're going to be fighting for the rest of the night. And like I said, I don't care whether that's playing in a local pub, at school, or whether you're at Reading Festival. Jules, can you stick that in I can't read that quick enough. Can you pop it in the question mark box, please, for me, and I'll come to that, or whatever that is you've just put it in the question mark. And so I've been trying to tell people, you really need to be aware of the opening part of the gig, because if you're not on point when you hit that first song, then the guitarist, the bass player, everyone's timing's going to go, and then you've lost them, okay? And you know, so many people now are telling me stories about, you know, having to drive for a couple of hours, and then, you know, they're all pumped up and they're so excited, they've had a drink and they get on the drums and they start playing, and then it's like, oh, I didn't really feel that great at the end. And it's all about those first 2 or 3 songs. And my advice has always been the same, whoever you are. Find space, find a place where before you walk onto that stage, just gather your thoughts, okay? Think about the first couple of numbers that you're going to play. And like I said, I don't care whether you're playing in a pub, whether you're playing in a Reading Festival, wherever you are. It's important that you as the drummer, you're driving the bus, okay? You're in charge of what's going on timing-wise and the way the band are going to feel. So find yourself a space, you know, whether it's just move away from everyone else, just think about the first couple of songs, and when you're walking onto the stage ready to play, or when you're about to play, think about that song. Think about that song in your head. Right, okay, well, what's this going to go? Picture it, go through it. This is something that professional footballers do. They find a place where they sit there and they go, right, this is how this is going to go, this is how I'm going to do this, etc., etc. And that's how you've got to approach your playing. If you're serious, okay? If you're serious. Now, okay, some people may go, that's a little bit too hippie for me, but I'm promising you now, how you start the set is going to set you up for the rest of the gig. And this isn't about making sure your hands are warm, making sure your feet are warm. It's mentally being prepared for that first song, okay? And this is even more apparent right now, because there's so many of us that are going back out there again, I don't know if John's and Christopher's still in the house, but I know John's been back out there playing again with bands or with his band. And it's a weird sensation again. It's exciting because this is what we've been not allowed to do what we really love doing. So it's very, very exciting, but actually it's a little bit scary. We might not be able to do what we did before, and that again isn't anything to do with technically. There's an expert in the house just joined us now who would back that up, although he's missed everything I said, Mr. Dugmore. But yeah, technically you may have all the chops now because you've been sitting practicing for the last 16, 17 months. Okay, you've almost got to leave them on the side of the stage because you've got to walk on that stage and play what you need to play. And yeah, I mean, A's just come in and said visualizing is used widely now in so many different disciplines. Music, it is the thing. I've been banging on about this for years and years and years. It's the thing I talk about with a lot of my pro students about walking out on that stage. You know, again, I'm sure there's people out there. I mean, I know Doug Moore's in the house, so I know it's you. Femi, I don't know if Femi's still in the house. Luke Bullen has just joined, so I know he'll be one of these people that are so used to walking out onto a stage and there's whatever, 10, 15, 20,000 people. And if you can very easily mentally get caught in that, get caught up in that excitement, listen to that, really get, oh yeah, great, you run on the stage like a Duracell bunny, etc., etc. You sit down at the drum kit, your heart's pumping like five beats faster than it needs to be pumping, and bang, you go into that first song and it just takes off like a rocket. And then you've got to pull everything back because now the band are like, right, okay, hang on. And then the band lose trust in you. Okay, so it's so important that you, like a boxer or like a professional footballer or sportsman, you walk onto the stage and you block out what's going on. You've got that first song in your head, you're listening to it, you sit down, you sit at your drum kit, compose yourself, let the guitarist and the singer get all the excitement going out the front. You just compose yourself. Your job is to drive the bus. And then when you count the band in, or whether it's a click or whatever it is that's going to happen, you're on it. And like I said, I don't care whether you're playing in front of 3 people at the Dog and Duck, whether you're playing in a school band or whether you're playing at big festivals. Same process. And it is just as important, if not more important, than having everything warmed up. Now, I know there's a couple of things pinged up here straight away, so I've got to read this first before I show it up on this thing because I lose it. Right, so Jules has just come in, found that I had cramps in my hand on the first 2 gigs back. I was quite worried about it, a bit of a pad practice and warming up before the gig, and the problem went away. Didn't realise how out of shape I was. Okay, so you don't get the whole question there, but I've just chucked it up in front of everyone. Yeah, so again, this is very important. And again, 95% of us, or drummers out there, and even your Jeff Dugmores and your Carl Brazils and your Ash Surrens, etc., they still do the same. And you Luke, you carry drums to the stage. We're not always fortunate enough that we are playing at Reading and we walk onto the stage and then everything's set. Okay, so sometimes we're carrying stuff onto the stage. Obviously, that's putting a strain onto your body, whether you like it or not. You know, a traps case and a bass drum case or a cymbals case is a heavy item. Okay, and that means you're using those muscles in your forearms to carry that case. So you do need to, it's so important that you do need to loosen them up afterwards, because there's one thing you don't need when you're playing the drums, and that's your forearm muscles. If you look at the mechanics of playing the drums, you do not want big forearm muscles to play the drums. You do not use your forearm muscles. I'm sure many of you have had an injury at some stage and you've gone to the doctor, whether it's a shoulder or it's a forearm, and they always go, oh, it's because you play the drums. It's like, no, it's not, because we don't play the drums like that. You know, we know that we need to keep everything loose. Everything needs to be supple and it needs to be loose. I mean, today's lesson will be a little bit of a warm-up exercise, and I did post the warm-up the other day. I love warm-ups. I think they're so important, but when I'm warming up, I think about everything being really loose, exceptionally loose. It doesn't matter if you drop your sticks. The point of a warm-up is to get the blood flowing in your hands, your forearms, get everything really relaxed and loose. But like I said, most of us have to carry stuff to the stage, and that also we're not used to it. Like you say, we're not used to that at the moment. But there shouldn't really be. We all deal with it, but there shouldn't be any stress on our body when we're playing the drums. And if you've got any stress in your body when you're playing the drums, you're doing something wrong, and you need to look at it. You'll get away with that until you're about 30 years old, and then bang, your body goes, okay, I've had enough now. You're paying for this now. You've been putting, these parts of your body under too much strain. And I would say that is probably 55 to 60% of my job, is dealing with those problems under various circumstances. Right, there was another one in here. Let me just get this one up as well. Do you find it hard to get competitive vehicle insurance? Oh, okay. Completely left field, but this is okay. Dave Drums UK. Do you find to get competitive vehicle insurance being a musician? I think, yeah, there's loads of stuff out there. I've never ever had a problem with it, to be fair. Dave, I'm sure there could be people, once they've watched this afterwards, that might put some comments, some people up there that they find. Not really, no, Dave. Over the years, I've done it through the Musicians Union. I don't use the Musicians Union anymore because I'd found that they weren't competitive enough. But there's so many insurance companies out there now that want your business. I know that being a musician is. Okay. So one of the issues could be if you've got your drums in the car. Okay, but that should be something completely different, and you shouldn't be leaving your drums in the car overnight. That's when your insurance may get hit. But if you're taking your drums out and putting them into your house every night, then no. I think you should find, if you just go on to any of those, I can't think of the names of them now, but those compare insurance companies, then no, I don't have a problem with that at all. Like I said, I used to use the MU. I don't use the MU anymore. I've always been down as a musician, and I don't. We are one of the worst to insure for some reason, but the worst are jockeys. Yeah, work that one out. Okay, so there was another one in here. And I want to make sure, did you find it hard? Right, so bear with, I'm going over this. The issue I had, yeah, okay, well, I'm going to come back to that one again. Okay, so the issue, okay, so there's a Mr. Greb's in the house as well. I hope you're well, Mr. Greb. I got to say, I loved your last social media post, and I do that all the time, all the time. If you haven't seen Benny's last post with his spam phone call, somebody trying to get his details, it was very funny, and I've got a few friends that have been doing that. There's a great comedian in the UK called Jason Manfield, who's got a great, if you go onto his and see what he did, he kept him on there for about 20 minutes, dragging them all over the place. Going back to, so let me just give you your levis. Okay, so you talked about a trapped nerve. Again, that is something different, and you've got to remember that if you have an injury, maybe it's caused by drumming, but it could be caused by something else, like I discussed earlier. You've got to repair that injury before you worry about it as a drummer. Okay, however that is, you've got to repair that injury first. So. Again, I've got students over the period of time working with big bands, and they've got particular injuries, whether they've got pulled a muscle, whether they've got torn ligaments in their arms, etc., etc. You've got to go and see a sports therapist. They're used to that kind of stuff. Someone that's worked with rugby players or something like that, and they've got to repair that injury first. That's the important part, and then you have to then adjust the way that you play to do that. If you think about the science of playing the drums, and I don't want to think about it as a scientific experiment because we're playing the drums, it should be a physical thing, but you have to think about everything should be relaxed. Okay, there should be no tension, and if you've got tension going on in any part of your body while you're playing, then of course it's only going to last so long. So things like a fan, simple thing like a fan at the back of the stage on the bottom of your back, over a period of time, it's going to cause a problem because it's going to keep that cool, okay, it's going to make it colder, and that part of the muscle is actually going to cause a problem, whether it's on the stage or whether it is afterwards. So just think about it. I mean, it's not rocket science, any of this stuff. Think about it. Sit down, look at yourself. We've got video phones now. Video yourself on stage if you're having any problems. But going back to what you talked about, the trapped nerve in your shoulder, you've got to get that sorted first, then look at it for your drumming. And the injury may not be drumming. It could be something as silly as what I said before, carrying a cymbal case in, getting something in and out the car. You know, a fan at the back of the, you know, cold air at the back of a marquee on your back all night for 3 hours. I always used to think about when I did cold gigs, and I was again setting stuff up myself, etc., etc. After a gig, I'd always change my shirt straight away if I was hot, and I'd always wear gloves afterwards. And the reason I'd wear gloves was because I didn't want any arthritis or anything like that from the cold air getting onto the, so, and it worked. I mean, there's, you know, unfortunately arthritis in drummers is a very, very common cause when you get older, and if you could prevent it now, that's the way forward. Lost signal, will rewind at the end. Okay, so I've got no more questions in there. I hope all that works. Ollie Harding's also in the house. I hope you're well, Ollie. Ollie's also a Young Drummer of the Year finalist. A few years, I think Ollie was the finalist. And he's now out there showing the way for all the youngsters. So, with what a few of you have talked about, I did put something up recently about a little warm-up. I like, when I'm doing my warm-ups, I like to do them to music. Anything, any kind of music, more than a click. Most music's now in time, but I like the movement of the music for me to play warm-ups. But because we've talked a lot about warming up, and I've talked about a lot about what to do before you go on stage, physically, we've discussed the mentally. Let me show you a little warm-up exercise, and I'm probably going to do a little video on this individually, and I can't do it to music because I would normally, but I can't, because if I put music on now, there's a strong chance that Instagram will say you're not allowed to do this, and it'll block it, and so you'll never get to see the warm-up. So I'm going to move my camera, and I'm going to adjust it. I'm just going to put it onto my little practice kit over here. Hopefully YouTube, you can see this as well. But all I'm doing is doubles, so nothing complicated. I'm just going to play double strokes, okay? 1, 2, 1, 2, okay? I'm going to try and keep everything nice and light and everything really relaxed, okay? So they are bouncing, but I'm trying to keep my fingers really, really light. I try to do this thing sometimes where I can rotate the logo in the stick. If you see that, it means my hands are nice and loose. So this is warm-ups. But instead of just going twos, like this, I'm going to try and cross them over, but I'm not going to flam them. Okay, like I said, this is the first time I picked up my sticks today, and I've had a lot on today. So the exercise is doubles, but I'm crossing them over. So if you think of 16s, okay, so dagger, bubba, dagger, bubba, dagger, bubba, dagger, bubba. And I'm trying really hard not to flam them. And the sticks are so light in the hands, the fingers are so loose, that the sticks are rotating. So if you can see the logos, they're moving. And then you cross two circles. And I might do that for a song. I might put a 3-minute song on and just play that. And really just slow. I wouldn't speed up and slow down, mind you. I don't recommend that, I'm just trying to show you, but I've talked about this before, but I would use different bass drum patterns. So it's just a nice little warm-up, and I'd literally do that for about 2 or 3 minutes, whatever the song is. Find some songs that I like, maybe something new that I've just come across, and just play along with it. Okay, so you're in here. Let's see. I've got a giveaway today. So what I've got is, like I said, I was given this to give away probably about 6 months ago, and anyone that watches these will know, you would have seen this. It was something from Zildjian, okay, when they did their new merchandise line. But we were getting into summer, or certainly in the UK, so it's like, I'm not going to give that away. But it's the new, I mean, it means nothing here because it's backwards, obviously, to you. But it's a Zildjian logo with various symbols of the metal. Now, I think there's a limited number of these. This is a, I'm just checking the size. I think it's a medium. Let's have a look. It's a medium, okay. But I'm going to give it away, okay? Obviously, I haven't worn it. That would just be a bit weird, but it has been opened out of the package because I showed it on the show. Now, you can only win this if you're watching this live. So if you're watching this afterwards, I do apologise, you cannot win it. And if you're watching it on YouTube, I apologise, you can't win it. And I will warn you now, I don't mind if you're overseas, and hopefully it should be fine, but it might count. I don't know what deliveries are like now overseas at the moment, so you may get like a little note saying you have to pay £1.50 or whatever, but I'll send it obviously free of charge to you, just so I'm warning you now. So what's my question going to be? At the top of this, the K's for another excellent life. Okay, thank you. Thanks. Oh, thanks. I thought you said the K's. That's good. You're more than welcome. Thank you, Mike. Okay, so at the top of this live chat today, we talked about Tina Clark, who was artist relations for Zildjian, has now got a new job as artist relation for a new drum company. The first person that can come up here and tell me who that drum company is gets to win the Zildjian fleece. Dun, 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 dun. This is where there's a delay while people are typing, and it makes me wonder how. British Drum Company, Dave Drum UK, you have won this. When you get it, obviously it's the right way round, not this way. So sorry, Mike, he beat. Look at you all. So Dave Drum was the first one in. Dave, can you DM me your address, and I will get that out to you straight away. By the looks of your post, Dave Drum UK, I'm guessing you're in the UK, so that's fine. I don't know if you've won anything from here before. Anyway, that's it. I hope you've enjoyed it. Spread it around if you like it. It's on YouTube. It's on my YouTube page, Drum Clips. It's going to be here. I'm going to save this one for you to watch. That's it. Have a good week. Look after yourself. Nice to see so many great people in here, and so many of my buddies from all around the world. Simon Hanson, if you're still here, have fun out in America. I'm glad that Squeeze finally got out there. Mr. Greb, please keep entertaining us with those lovely spam calls. Thank you, Aid. Mr. Doug Moore, always my favourite. And I will catch up soon. Good night. Have fun. Bye.